Hey guys, this is Meredith from limecompass.net, and I wanted to show you guys mullein because we need to harvest this plant soon. And mullein is a biennial, and its Latin name is Verbascum Thapsus. And I've heard this called so many different things. And one of which is camper's toilet paper. It is a very soft and very thick, and one can use it for the name if they need to. I revere this herb not only for its beauty, but it is a wonderful respiratory herb. The leaves are wonderful for lung ailments. I make a tea with it, or I sometimes use it in an herbal steam like I showed you guys on the rosemary page. But the leaf tea will really help the mucosal lining or the mucosal membrane in the respiratory tract. And as long as that mucosal lining is intact, it can expel infection. And it can really just be so nourishing for people that are dealing with mycoplasma, pneumonia, bronchitis, chronic cough, asthma, things like whooping cough, COPD. Just think lung ailment. There's something in herbology called the doctrine of signatures. Oh, I'm sore today. And doctrine of signatures is when a plant shows you what it's good for. And you got your lungs here. They look like lungs. So think lungs. They're very soft. You can play with children. You can be the bunny rabbit or the sad doggy or whatever. But it's really easy to dry. You can even just take clothespins and hang them up. And they make a wonderful tea or steam. And mullein is so generous that it will grow in the dead of winter here. In the winter time, when you have coughs and respiratory stuff going on, it's right out here in the yard. It's in your grass, in the fields, just waiting to be picked. Wonderful respiratory herb. So as if I were to let this plant be and grow another round or another year, the biennial will send up a flower stalk that will be way taller than me, and it gets these yellow flowers on the stalk, and those yellow flowers should be picked around sunrise. You don't want them to sit around in the heat of the day. And you'll pick them in the early morning just before they open, and you can put them into olive oil and make an oil infusion. And then that oil is used often for ear infections, but it's also really good topically for bruises and wounds. And of course, before you put anything in an infected ear, you want to make sure that the eardrum is intact. And don't ever put anything in the ear when the eardrum is not intact. Let's see, what else can I tell you? My dear beloved friend Sherry, she calls this a land lotus, just because how it opens up like a beautiful lotus-like plant. So the root, which I'll harvest in its first year. And the root is used for incontinence or bedwetting or bladder irritation. The mullein root will help reduce inflammation in the bladder without stimulating the bladder or the kidneys. So it's not going to make you pee more. The question that I always like to ask is, well, yes, it might help bring comfort, but why? Why is the bladder irritated? What's going on? And sometimes it's Lyme. Sometimes it doesn't always have to be Lyme. I feel like we get so used to like such weird entourage of symptoms with Lyme disease that we often think it's always Lyme. Sometimes you have a bladder infection, and getting a culture done and treating it appropriately can help. And sometimes that culture is clean, and sometimes it is Lyme living in the bladder. I've had that issue. It is so irritating and maddening. For me, the mullein root has brought comfort, along with some marshmallow, and I've really liked using liposomal biotin to help bring comfort with Lyme bladder stuff. If you have a child that's never been a bedwetter that all of a sudden has become a bedwetter, infection is something that needs to be looked into. Mullein can bring comfort, but get to the root of talking about mullein root, get to the root get to the root of what's creating the symptom. I have not used it this way, and it's new knowledge to me, but a lot of people are using mullein root for facial pain, which I find really interesting, and I'm going to have to experiment with. So people that have Bell's palsy, people that have TMJ, jaw nerve stuff. I'm gonna have to play with that and see how that plays out. And what else can I tell you about mullein? The leaf dries really easy. The root, while it's fresh, will get sliced up and we'll dry it that way, and then tincture it. I can't remember if I mentioned, did I mention about teas and fine hairs? So when you make mullein tea, there's all these like fine hairs on this plant, and these can be irritating to the throat. So you want to just, you don't want to irritate the throat while you're trying to heal the lung. So you need to strain this like you would coffee or something like that. I have these wonderful stainless steel strainers that have this like super fine mesh. I also have like a super fine mesh coffee filter. You can run the tea through cheesecloth or even through one of those paper coffee filters, but you just don't want to have the hairs be an irritant. And that's what I can think to tell you about mullein. So harvest the leaves before the flower stalk comes up, and you'll want to harvest the root in the first year of the growth. So thank you.